Hello, Empowered Woman. Welcome to this episode of the Empowered Woman podcast. Today is a first. I'm sharing a panel discussion with 3 of my clients as part of my monthly edition of the Empowered Woman Showcase. In honor of Mother's Day this month of May, we talked about motherhood and business. How do you juggle it all? It was such an amazing conversation with Vesta Hager, Amira, Heim, and Carelyn, Torres. This is the first time I'm sharing the audio of the panel part of the event, and I'm thinking I'll add some bonus episodes of past editions because it's so good. If you're a mom and entrepreneur, you will want to stay tuned. And if you're not, I'm sure you'll get some valuable nuggets on time management and self-care. Also, the doors to the Empowered Woman School are open for you if you want to strengthen your mindset and increase your profit. Just go to margisburg.com to enroll for $37 a month and join our vibrant and supportive community before I raise the prices next month. Let's get to it.
Welcome back to the Empowered Woman Podcast, the #1 show on personal growth, visibility, and profit for women entrepreneurs. If you're wanting to start believing in yourself, giving yourself permission to succeed, and let your voice be heard to make an impact in the world as an entrepreneur, this is the place for you. I am so glad that you're here. My name is Marta Spurk, and I'm your host, triplet mom, woman empowerment coach, and all things motivation extraordinaire. Welcome again, and let's dive into today's episode.
All right, let's see. We are live. Let me lower my volume here so I can keep track of the comments. Yay, we're live. Well, everybody, welcome to May's edition of the Empowered Woman Showcase. I've been having the most fun hosting these, especially because every single time I get to interview clients. So it's people that I know, people that I trust, people that I love, and that love me back. So it's an amazing moment. And we get to talk about specific topics that relate to our specialties, expertise, and to our lives. And so with May being Mother's Day month, I decided to talk about being a mom and owning a business. And I invited 3 of my amazing clients. Carelyn is having technical difficulties, but she will join us soon, hopefully. But I love these 3 ladies because they are doing it all and they're doing it amazingly. And they have different situations like all of us, different ages of kids. And so I'm super excited to talk about this topic. I've been asking all over social media as I train everyone to prime people for the topic. I've been asking in several groups and in several platforms, how do you juggle motherhood, especially having, smaller kids, because it's usually the biggest challenge, but it is a challenge regardless, and having a business. And I've gotten such amazing responses in terms of, time management, boundaries, having a supportive spouse, or being very clear with your spouse on what you're doing. And it's just amazing to see how people find ways, right? This is really what entrepreneurship is all about, is having a dream, having a vision, and finding a way of making it happen. So without further ado, I would love to welcome Vesta, Amira, and Carelyn. Thank you so much for agreeing to join us today. So we'll go ahead and get started with just a brief intro of who you are, where you're located, what you do. And I see there are 3 people watching us. So thanks so much for joining in. Let us know if you have any questions or comments for the panelists as we go through. But I'll go ahead and get started with Vesta. Share with us a little bit more about who you are.
Hello. As she said, my name is Vesta. Sorry for the There's a couple of things that I like to do and what I want to bring to the table. So right now I'm really working on restructuring a little bit of what I was doing because of the post-pandemic situation. So I'm starting to really focus in on the post-child rearing and the relationship of that after. I call it the next nest because I don't like the word empty. We were empty before they came along. So, but to prime that, I want people starting to think about that earlier than those children leaving. So at least, 3 to 5 years before. So you're really getting back and connecting with each other. So currently I'm working and launching a workshop that helps to sort of focus your energy post whatever is next for you, and being able to be on the same page, in the same book, going the same direction. Which is what I find a lot when I speak to couples and groups, is they are not on the same page. And that's going to cause some problems. And my biggest goal is to avoid post-child rearing divorces. because that is such a huge number. Standard divorce rate's pretty bad anyway, but when you add in that you have lost that connection, it skyrockets. And it's really important to me. It's my passion to save as many marriages and make you excited about your future. Currently, I am in Virginia, so on the East Coast. I also have a home in Idaho, so I go back and forth. So I really have just downloaded an app to keep track of my time zones. You're welcome, Marta, and to be able to serve as many people as I can. And I am so glad to be here today.
Oh, I'm so excited. And I love what you said about helping couples in different transitions, because at times it's not that the kids are leaving, but even with the pandemic, we've been going through different transitions, and it is a struggle to stay on the same page. 100%. It's tough. We have different careers, oftentimes, right? Different goals, different personalities, and especially with a huge transition that we're living in the world, I think that has affected marriages negatively more so than before. So the work that you do is amazing, and I am so excited that you're doing it and that you're here. Thanks so much, Vesta. All right, Amira, you're up next. Tell us about you.
Hi, I'm Amira Heim, and I'm from Pottstown, Pennsylvania, which is right outside of Philly, if you can't tell from my accent. And I am a pure romance consultant. So to me, that means that I create a fun, safe environment for women to learn about how to embrace their own sexuality and improve intimacy with their partners, and just safeguard their sexual health. So grown-up sex ed is what I do. I look at it that way.
I love that so much. And it really complements what Vesta's doing, actually. I see a collaboration. I foresee a collaboration there.
Yeah, we have lots we could talk about together.
Totally. Because that goes hand in hand with being on the same page and with not having kids around. Like, what do you do, right? So Amira can help in that department with lots of ideas, fun ideas at that. Love it, Amira. Thank you so much. And last but not least, Carelyn, tell us.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here. I just want to say thank you. And it's an honor to share the stage with you ladies. My name is Carelyn Torres, and I am a health and lifestyle coach. I am located in Miramar, Florida, and it's between Fort Lauderdale and Miami, for those of you who might not know. And what I'm very passionate about, and I really, really love, like I work with moms in business, and it's really about helping them stay consistent in taking care of themselves so they can really have more energy and really show up. I believe like health and taking care of you, it's that secret sauce to really show up in your business and for your children and for your partner, since we're talking here about partners and marriages and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's so important for me and to just really like change the paradigm, saying like it's exhaustion or it's normal to be exhausted as a mom, because it doesn't have to be that way. So we're just shifting here, and if we're doing sexual energy, like really like staying true to yourself and taking care of you, that's really, really important. So that's my passion. It's really helping moms. Yeah, I think when you take good care of yourself, you're going to get the impact that you want to create in the world. So yeah, that's in a nutshell, me.
I love that. And I love that you said, because what has been normalized is every mom is exhausted. Mm-hmm. Every mom is just dying, but burning the candle at both ends. And let's do the opposite and normalize us taking care of ourselves, being present in different capacities, so that we can be present in different capacities. And that actually, having all of you ladies introduce yourselves, people tend to say this, that I have the best gift of picking people to put together. And honestly, my thought process was, who are moms that, could come on and speak? But now that you're all explaining what you do, could this be a more perfect match? Come on, I must have a gift for this. This is awesome. Love it so much. All right, so let's move on to our first question. But before, I would love for the ladies that are watching us to let us know where you are in your life right now. Do you have smaller kids? Do you have older kids? Are you looking into the next chapter? What has your connection been like with your partner? How have you been taking care of yourself? Is that a challenge? Speaking to what Carelyn was talking about, let us know a little bit in the comments. And if you have any specific questions or something that you're struggling with, we can bring that to the table too and have the ladies share some of the things that have been helpful for them. So the first topic, the first thing is actually a twofer a little bit. My first question is, how has entrepreneurship both challenged you and improved you in terms of being a mom? Because we know it's both, right? And with challenges come change and bettering ourselves. It really goes hand in hand. You can escape it, but we want it, right? So I would love for Vesta to tell us a little bit more about that in terms of entrepreneurship, the two sides of it.
Well, for me, I think this happens too for a lot of us who maybe stopped working when we had our kids, or we're doing something we had to do. And now the kids are kind of managing themselves a little more. They have cars, they can get to do what they want. And we might be revisiting a change in our career. So I think there's quite a few closet entrepreneurs out there for moms who are really excited to try and embrace what's next. So my favorite part about entrepreneurship is that you are inspiring and firing up your soul and looking for what really makes you happy, which quite honestly, if you have young kids, that doesn't really get much easier until they get a little bit older to focus on you. So I really love that aspect of it. I love that I'm showing my girls that they can do anything as well. Now I see it happen, and when they start to talk about things they want to do, they don't have that, it's not possible. They're thinking, well, sure, if you have this idea, you can do it. My oldest daughter already has an idea for a company, and we had to wait for the pandemic because it's very location driven. So we decided just to wait until everything was back to normal, and hopefully next year. But she's already got a plan to sell her business by the time she's out of college and already have that awesome win under her belt. The things that are challenging, of course, is your own boss, which is good and bad. So on the days you feel like just chilling, or for me, knitting or something like that, it's very easy to lose a lot of time. So that's the challenge, is just staying motivated. I thought to myself this morning, I didn't come this far to only come this far. And I know we all know that quote, but it really resonates with me and it helps me stay focused. And I'll talk a little bit about some of the other ways that you asked later on about focus. But those are the two things I love, that you can get fired up and inspire others. And the hard part is just making sure you keep yourself motivated.
Yes, I love that so much. And I have a few ladies that are commenting who are also dots, by the way, Vesta and Amira. Suzanne Moore says she has a tween and a teen. So you ladies are going to be super relevant in that aspect, because it's, different phases. And Liz, who's also a member of the Empowered Woman School, who I said Vesta needs to connect with. She says, I'm looking at next nest. I like that. I have been planning for this time for 10 years. Daughter going off to college in August. Yeah, she just graduated last year. And I saw your post, Liz, that she just picked her classes. I can't even imagine going through that. My kids had their little graduation party from preschool today, and I was crying a mess. I was like, how is this even happening? I'm totally that mom that is going to cry at everything, and they better just get used to it, because when they sing at home, I cry already too. So it's okay. I'm embracing it. That's fine. And Jessica says, I have a 3-year-old homeschooler and working on going full-time with my business. Amazing. All right. Amira, you're up next. Tell us about the challenges, but also the improvements.
So it was I kind of struggled with this because I had my family all and started my business in the same year. So in 2006, I finally let my husband lock it down and got married after 9 years of dating. And we had our second child, because I like to do things in my own order. And I started my own business after being a stay-at-home mom for a whopping 2 months. That was how long I lasted, just being fully into my kids. So I think there were some challenges in sometimes having a little bit of mom guilt and having to kind of push through that. And then just time management, or my husband's always, I've been very fortunate that he's a very driven, very career-oriented person, but a lot of times that would mean that my things would maybe take a back seat because he's working 60 hours a week. So kind of figuring out how I could still do my thing without his physical support sometimes was a little bit of a challenge. But there were so many benefits to me. First of all, it's really important to me, especially because I also have a daughter who's about to be 21 in less than a week. It was really important for her, but both of my kids, to see that I'm a person. I'm not just a mom. I'm not just a wife. I'm not just this person that cuts the crust off your sandwiches and wipes your nose. I'm a real person with a real life and my own dreams and aspirations because, you know, I wouldn't want my daughter to grow up and feel like she had to be pigeonholed into this little thing. That's what she wants to do. Great. But know that you need a life outside of your kids. Right. Yeah. So that was really important for me. And then it was also something that was just mine. It was the one thing. Now I go off site to do, I do the office and everything in the house, but I go in homes to do my actual business. So it was a nice little escape to get out, and it was all mine. It was like the one thing I didn't have to do for anybody else in the world. And I think that's very important. And then just with my own particular business, because a lot of it deals with sex education and intimacy and all those sorts of things. There were a lot of times over the last 14 something years where that really put things into perspective for me to make sure that I was walking the walk. So I do a lot of talking to your kids about sex.
Yeah.
So I better make sure that I'm making the right choices and not hiding in the bathroom when they ask me questions.
Right.
Or taking the time to make my husband a priority if I'm going to go and I'm going to tell a whole bunch of women how important that is. So yeah, all in all, a net positive, I would say.
I love that. And I resonate with it so much, especially with the whopping 2 months. For me, it was a whopping of 9 months. But considering I have triplets, I think we're pretty much on the same track there.
You need a little more time than I. Yes, actually,
where
I wouldn't have been surprised if you cut it. Like if I would have had triplets, it probably would have been a whopping like 2 days. I'd be like, get me out of here.
Yes. And so I totally resonate with what you said, having something for myself. And lots of people didn't understand that because it's like, why are you adding something else on? And that was the thought process. It's something that I can control. It's something that it's mine. It's something that it's kind of like an outlet. Right. So I definitely resonate with that. In the accountability portion, 1,000,000%. I always say I started coaching not out of the goodness of my heart, but because I needed it myself. So it's totally true. I totally resonate with that. And I'm sorry, I'm going to have to look to the side here because I have to charge my phone. So it's not in my optimal position. So for looking at the comments, I'm looking to the side, but I'm paying attention to what you're saying. Thank you so much for sharing, Amira. And finally, Carelyn, tell us challenges and improvements.
Challenges and improvements. So I started my business after being about 14 years in corporate. So basically, when my children, so I have a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old, and my 6-year-old today passed first grade test, or the kindergarten test to pass to first grade. So he's really good, excited. Anyhow, but so coming from corporate I used to be a consultant, and I used to travel everywhere to wherever my client was. So it was a huge different lifestyle to business. So that was an adjustment. And then just in general, and I don't know if you ladies do resonate with this, but motherhood, for me at least, motherhood and business have been like the two development areas for me. Like there have been so much triggers in terms of visibility and in terms of like showing up online. I'm a very private person, and I grew up in the whole thing of like, the neighbor doesn't need to know what you need to do because you don't want everybody like talking and all that stuff. So like getting just used to those kind of things were a big challenge for me, and I'm still working through it. It's not like a one time and done, but it's just, there's a lot, like the business itself have brought up a lot of things that I do get to heal on myself. And then at the same time, like I feel that it's like the improvement because all those things that got triggered, I've been able to work on them that before weren't an issue. And business and motherhood, it just, I think everything all ties together. There's not a way to compartmentalize only, but it just have made me a much better, I think, woman and mom, because I have grown so much in all areas that it's just been great. And then I also been in the part where I was working too much, which is basically the women that I target, like the mom that I target, because that was just the used to, like, I was just used to the whole, like, when you overwork, like you have to work hard in order to be the successful one. I'm very driven and I have like big goals and all that stuff. And I'm used to being like the breadwinner of the family and all that. So it's like, now I get, and we'll talk about this on the other questions, but it's like, my challenge was how to incorporate being a mom, being a business owner, being a wife, and all the things that will serve everybody and not just have me depleted and exhausted. Mm-hmm. So I think they go hand in hand. It's just being a lot of healing and growth that just made me, I think, a better person.
Yeah, no, and I agree 100%. Motherhood and entrepreneurship have so much in common in the sense of leaving you bare bones, naked, stripped. Like, this is you. Just look at yourself right now. No, right? No masks, no cover ups, nothing. And that's what I meant with the challenges. They really go hand in hand with the improvements, because it challenges you to become a better version of yourself, a more self-accepting version, and all of that. So yeah, I 100% resonate. And Liz says, I relate to having the driven husband, Amira. So she gets that. Awesome. So I would love to hear from the ladies that are watching. What have been your challenges, and also the good things, the improvements that you have found with being an entrepreneur, and do they go hand in hand, just like Carelyn said as well? So moving on to our next question. Now let's get to some specifics. You've talked about, improving, you've talked about some challenges. What are some specific tools, strategies, things that you use to stay organized and sane as a mom and business owner? I would love to hear, because everyone has different tips and things that work for them. And ultimately, it's about trying different things and making it your own. So I'm excited to hear some perspective here and start implementing some stuff myself. Vesta.
One thing that I do, and I actually was on a podcast with an organizer, like a professional organizer, and he took this note down. So I felt pretty good. I was talking about moms and what we were talking about, but it was about getting organized before they leave. But one thing I do, which is really helpful, is on my phone, when I meet someone, or whatever their relationship is with me. For example, we mentioned the dots earlier. Any person I meet that goes on my phone as a dot gets a pink dot on my phone as their background. So I always know that's how I know this person, because as we start getting out there more, it's really hard to keep track. And if I know it's hard to believe because I haven't met you all in person, but I think Marta will believe me. I talk to anyone and everyone wherever I go. People just are sort of drawn to those conversations. So if I met you I picked up two ladies at Mackenzie River pizza place the other day. So I put them in there as I write down in the notes where I met them. So that it also helps me remember how I know them when the phone rings. So depending on what their role is, I assign some sort of organizational thing on my phone, which helps. Mm-hmm. Speaking on the business side, obviously linking one calendar to all the other calendars. I use Calendly, just moving over to that. It's hugely helpful for me to be able to see them all in one place, obviously. And second, I block off the days I don't want to have clients. So I can save that day, unless something comes up and we really have to work around it. I try to save that day just for me to be able to do errands or go out with friends. And I don't feel like I'm cutting someone off. If it's just not available when they get their Calendly link, they don't really realize why. So I do block those things off and keep that time for myself. And so those are two things that I do. And then I do like written things. So I do use a sheet of my to-do list. And as I'm doing different things, I need to do that, and I'll jot it down. And that way I can kind of keep track of it visually as well. Mm-hmm. I'm sure the other ladies will have some other great ideas.
Yeah, no, I love this, is categorizing things, right? And reminders so that you know who you're talking to. And that's huge as a business owner, networking, right? And remembering who can I refer somebody to, or following up. All of those things are super important. But if you don't know where you left off a conversation, it's not going to be as effective and you're going to forget. And also boundaries, right? I'm not going to take clients unless it's an absolute emergency, and sticking to that, because for the workaholic of us, that could be tempting to just, talk to people all day long, every day. And then we're not really being present with the other areas of our life. I love those tips, simple tips, but usually the simplest things are the things that we're not doing. So thank you for the reminder, Vesta. And let's see. Suzanne says, in my early years of business, my biggest challenges were confidence and charging my worth. It took a long time for me to full understand my value. And how many of us can resonate with that? Totally, Suzanne. And she says, I really relate to my business being a vehicle for an independent identity. Yes. Let's see. Liz gave us a comment here, a big one. I was in corporate with 2 jobs I loved before I had my second kiddo. Staying home was so hard for me. It actually made me sick, but I was so weak that I couldn't do too much for myself. Also, I am a pretty extreme sensitive introvert. I have been literally waiting for this time for 20 years to have time back to myself. So that was my biggest challenge. I feel awesome now and ready to take on new things. I also struggle with social media and putting myself out there, but I know my purpose now and probably needed those 20 years to learn it. And I'm excited to figure out how to execute it. I love that you're being gentle with yourself, Liz, because oftentimes we feel like it needed to happen sooner. I'm one of those people. I want to, hence the whopping 9 months, right, Amira? Let's just hurry through things all of the time. But sometimes we need more time to go around the mountain a few times to learn our lesson, right? And we have to honor that. So thank you so much for sharing, Liz. Amira, tell us some specific strategies and tools, because I know you're a very organized lady. You need to learn
So
from
my
you.
first one was going to be boundaries, but you kind of touched on that. But not just boundaries with your business, boundaries with your family. Obviously, when they're a year old, you can't really set boundaries, but setting boundaries with your partner to say, well, I'm going to work. And if you are not there to watch them, you better find a sitter because this is your shift kind of things.
Yeah.
Also, while we're talking about, not being gentle with yourself, taking the words, especially if we're moms, because this is like, if you aren't born with it, by the time you're pregnant and you deliver, the whole world is going to put all the shoulds on you. Yeah. So eliminating should, need to, and have to from my vocabulary and saying, I'd like to, I get to, I can't wait to. Those are big tips with a lot of this stuff. I mean, for me, that I always feel so much pressure about, if I just change my perspective, I can actually feel really energized and excited to do it. Mm-hmm. As far as like more practical in the moment things, I always recommend planning out. I do a to-do list. Sunday's my day off. But what I do on Sundays, I find time to do my to-do list. And it's not for the day, it's for the week. Like I give myself all the time in the world. Just get this done by the end of the week. Takes a little bit of the pressure off. Everything gets bumped if it doesn't get done. If the same things keep getting bumped, then I reevaluate them. Either A, is this something I'm creatively avoiding and not making a priority? Or what it usually is stuff we don't need to do that we're just piling on. That's why there's no urgency. So I get rid of it for the next week. And when you have little ones, like I said, when I started, my son was 3 months old. He was a very spirited toddler. So there wasn't necessarily a lot of quiet time. So instead of doing like a block of work, now I try to make sure I do 50 minutes of income generating work every day. Mm-hmm. My taxes can pile up and that could be my accountant's nightmare. Mm-hmm. But if I'm not making money, I'm not in business. So I try to do 50 minutes of that every day. If that is when you have little ones and you can't even block out that 50 minutes, I used to just have like, what are my call lists? What are my touch base lists? Now we have Facebook and texts and all of that too. Email, it's so much easier. If you can get them to like pay attention to Elmo or whatever kids watch on TV now, I don't know, mine are older. You can get them to do 10 minutes. You can fire off a little text. Mm-hmm. Like, let me put this one video on. I know we'll like keep them focused for this long. And I can shoot them off and break it up. Is it ideal? No, but you're getting something done. Yeah. And the last thing that was a big one, and then I'm sorry, I get so excited about this stuff because I made all the mistakes. So I'm like, oh, you can learn from all my do nots, is work when it works for you. So I always had this idea in my head when I first started, it was still a lot of like phone. You would call people. And I would always think, okay, well, I have to make sure that at 7:00 at night, I'm sitting down and I'm going to work and I'm making my phone calls to check in with my clients and do all of that. And it would never happen. We're all moms here, right? Yeah. How many times were you raring to work at 7:00 at night after chasing your kids around all day?
Never.
Finally, I learned, I'm done. My emotional bandwidth is gone by 5:00 every day. I'm really learning that about myself. So I'm going to send you a text at 11:30 in the morning to check in with you. Mm-hmm. And I understand you're at work and you may not be able to get back to me, but better that than me never talk to you again at all. Yeah. So
I love those. I love that you said about the language first, because that's the last place that we go look at, because we want the tools. Give me the apps. Tell me the best planner. And those things are great, but what are you telling yourself, right? How much of a nagging boss, I always say that, are you being to yourself? Back to what Vesta was saying. It's fun that you don't have a boss, but you are your boss. So it's good and it's bad. Mm-hmm. So how are you treating yourself? What are you saying? How much pressure you're putting in yourself? Because I think, was it you, Amira, that said, even if you're not born with all the shoulds, as soon as the kids are born, all the shoulds just land on you from somewhere, from space, from people. It's just there. It just comes with it. So paying attention to that language is super important. And then you talked about, what was the second thing that you talked about? I had it in my head and then I forgot. Go ahead.
Just having your list and like breaking it up so that you can make sure you're doing your money making stuff.
The money making stuff.
Day, nothing else matters.
Right. And 15 minutes, right? And we can do that. It's just that we don't make ourselves do it, because we're usually back to what you were saying. I remember Sundays, planning for your week. I love doing that, seeing all the appointments that I have, all the people that I'm going to meet, because then it's already processing in my brain that that's coming up, and then paying attention if things get piled up and roll over to the next week and to the next week. I'm never going to do it. It's over. Don't even try it, because it's not a priority. So that is huge too. And I love the sentence, it only works if it works for you. Boom, mic drop right there. Because people can say that that works for them, but it doesn't mean that it's going to work for you. And I'm of the belief that you have to make it your own, and then it's going to work for you, which is exactly what you just said. So amazing tips. Love it. And last, yes, of course.
I don't have it here because I'm not in my regular house, but I actually got a little cube. I had it through another group I'm in that suggested it, and it has 30 minutes, 50 minutes, an hour on it. And even though you can use your phone also is a gateway to a million other things. Yes. So it's pretty orange. And I say, especially if I don't want to do whatever it is,
yes,
I'll turn it on and say, I'm going to just sit here for 30 minutes and do these income generating activities. Mm-hmm. And it always goes off and I flip it and start it again, because I'm usually into it by then. Yeah. But if I just have that little moment, and it's a simple tool, but it just really helps you just focus. And then be able to get into whatever you need to do. And you have more time than you think. Sometimes you just don't want to do it. So it's just another little tip. I don't know what it's like, a time cube, but I know
I've seen it before.
On your phone, but it's not the same.
I looked into it, and I always had the thought I can just do it on my phone, but it doesn't work the same. So I'm going to have to look into it and just get it for myself. And if they have a pink one, even better, because then it's going to be decoration. I will look for it. Awesome. And Carelyn, tell us some specific tools. I know you have lots of them. Ooh,
I do, but excuse me, Bubby, go change your shirt. Go change your shirt. Sorry, he's going to gymnastics after this.
I'm surprised mine are not coming.
Okay, in a little bit.
Or bad. We'll find out in about 30 minutes.
Give me 1 second.
Yeah, you're fine. You're fine. No, mine are actually too quiet right now. And I always get kind of worried on that. Like, I'm glad, but you just never know. I gave them their lunch and I said, please, not anymore. And then we were just saying this before we hit play. If somebody comes along, it'll be a perfect and very appropriate, because we're talking about motherhood. So if a little one comes along, then it's like exhibit A, we're juggling motherhood and entrepreneurship.
Yes, we are. So, I mean, just to piggyback a little bit on Amira, I mean, one of the things that I like to do to-do lists. But one of the things I think it's very missed in just in general in people, like we're just used to just like piling out the things to do, but it's very important to look at our values and our priorities. I do that. I know not a lot of people do, but if you get clear on what your values are and your priorities, it's going to be a lot easier for you to do your schedule. Like you get to schedule your priorities instead of like scheduling everybody else. Because if you don't do, then somebody else is going to put your priorities in your schedule. Yeah. So it's like, and when you're clear, and that goes with like the vision and having like that dream, when you're clear where you're headed to and have those priorities in there and those values, it's going to be much easier to say no to the things that don't fit within what you're creating. So that for me was like huge, because I used to just put everything in as like the shoulds and I should do this and all this stuff. But like, they didn't end up being done, and then it was frustrating, and then it felt like I was just once I got clear of where was I headed to, what were my priorities and the values, always putting that, and then of course myself in the schedule, it'd make a huge, and then it's just like, and when you start looking at those things, it's like, okay, this needs to get done, but I don't want to do it. Then you start delegating, or you just drop it off completely. It doesn't get to be done. It's just something in there that's just making noise. And then the other thing, hi. Just say hi.
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 The other thing, okay, puppy, no touch.
Here you go.
Okay, I can hear. The other thing is always listen to your body. I think we're often just so much in our heads and so focused, and we forget to eat, we forget to rest, or we think resting is not. So it's like always listen.
Calling me out, Carelyn.
Yeah, I know. We've been talking about that.
Yes.
Listen to your body. Like, rest is part of the work. Like, if you really take a time, just sort of like think about those times where you might be feeling stuck, where you feel like this is not working, or you're getting so you just take a few minutes and step away from what you're doing and just sort of like go and just recenter again and go back. I promise you that you're going to be much more effective, and it's going to work. So it's all embedded in that. Like, take time. Don't book your calendar and all that stuff. Take time for you, even if it's just a few minutes. It's not a waste of time, and it's very much needed. Our creativity, it's going to like skyrocket when you start taking care of you, and when you start like taking stuff out of your head and all that stuff. Having fun, it's another thing. We take it too seriously, and it's like life is meant to be fun, and life is meant to be enjoyable. Yeah. It's like, how can we start incorporating fun in our life, in motherhood, in our business? And again, I am a firm believer that it all sort of like, it's all together. So when it affects one, it will affect the other. But I would say those are my three main tips, and I have a bunch more, but I know we don't have much time for that.
Yes, you do. And that's what you do, right? So all your tips are just so on point. And I love the idea of values, because people know to-do lists, but there's a time when they don't work. And back to what Amira was saying, keep putting it off. It's because you don't want to do it. So most likely it's not part of your priorities and your values. And pencil yourself in, put in that time to take care of yourself. And if you're feeling stuck, step away from it. Basics, right? But we don't do it. We just keep forcing stuff. And that is never good. Let's see. Rebecca said she used the Pomodoro timer in that same way, back to the cube. Rest is part of the work. Brilliant, Suzanne said. It is. It's been a recent revelation of mine, Suzanne, because rest was never part of my life in any way. My brain is just constantly moving, and so is my body. And so that is definitely something I'm learning. Yes, Carelyn.
And one more thing that I know, at least for us overworkers or workaholics, yeah. Setting a time, and it goes back with boundaries, and I'm sorry, he's making a lot of noise, but setting a time. So if you're saying that you're going to work for 3 hours or work until 5, even if the work is not done, standing up from that desk and saying, this is enough. What I did is enough. Like, that's a huge shift in mindset. Is like, this is enough, and tomorrow it's another day. Because ladies, just to be honest, there's always going to be things to do.
Yeah.
Like,
totally.
Yeah.
Oh, you are talking to me. I know it. Because just the other day I was like tempted to go grab my phone just to check, just to send another message, just to do something else. And I was like, no, I'm done. My head was spinning, my eyes were hurting, and I was just ready to just force myself again, thinking, this is the next opportunity. This is the next something else. And I was just so happy with myself because it feels empowering. And Rebecca just said, step away and reprioritize. What? I can do that? Yes, you can. Newsflash, right? It's tough, but it's habit. The more we do it, the less hard it gets. And it becomes more of the normalizing we were talking about, normalizing taking care of ourselves versus always being so exhausted. Such amazing tips. Love that. And if any of the ladies have specific tips on what helps you stay organized, stay sane as a mom and as a business owner, do share with us too. We can never have too many tips, right? I love it. Resources, tips, mindset tricks, anything. Awesome. And now, before we wrap things up, I would love to hear from you ladies how the Empowered Woman School and working with me specifically has helped you in your business, and how that has impacted your motherhood journey, your mindset, all of the things, one of the things, any of the things. Tell me everything.
I want to touch, this comes into it, but listening to your body, sometimes because I'm also a writer, it'll be late, it'll be a weird time of day, and I'll think, oh, I'm really inspired to go create that whatever material. And I think to myself, well, this is when I feel like doing it. So it might be a really late at night or some weird time, and I'll just go do it. And then the next day I'm like, you did that last night. You can just chill this morning and do something else, or go and do, so really balancing when your energy's there too was another thing. So coming to why I really look at this program, and also the changes we were mentioning for entrepreneurship for me, because I do have one daughter that's 19. We are partnering. She's my IT person, my directional marketer. Like, she's like, you need to do this and you need to do that. And it's really helped change our relationship and create a new level to ourselves moving forward. She feels very empowered. She calls herself the director of everything, because whenever something comes up, I'm like, that seems like your job. And she's like, oh. But it's really helped her feel like a participating equal and not a child. And it helps us to develop this relationship going forward. So on that note, that's another thing for that. For me, being part of this group focuses my energy. As I mentioned, being a writer, I love deadlines. Well, okay, I don't love them, but deadlines are very motivational and they're really helpful. So knowing that we have something every Friday that I sometimes have to prepare for, that makes me feel a little more focused, and it helps me to put that on my calendar and on my list to say, I know this is coming. So I think it's really important, and that's one of the elements I really love about Marta's program. Also, I've seen so much with collaboration for inspiration and adaptation. Marta and I have been working on some things. Marta's inspired me to include presentation coaching. I'm finally making those offers, because I was thinking kind of like Carelyn, I was thinking corporate was behind me, and I didn't want to think in those ways. And I also think that we sometimes don't value what we do if it's too easy. To me, everybody should know this stuff about speaking in public, but they don't. And I think that comes into being able to look at where you can bring the most to what you're offering. So I think that I love that. I love the accountability. I like the steps, very actionable behavior. And I really feel like Marta is very encouraging and relatable to other moms. That makes you feel like, yeah, she gets me. I mean, she had triplets, so she's already crazy, busy. So if she can do that, I certainly can manage this. And 5-year-old triplets, right? Oh my gosh. So I just think that it really helps you in this group to realize there are avenues that you may not have explored. And my thing, as you saw, I'm a dream believer, inspire. I believe it's possible. And I don't think women, especially moms, dream big enough. So I just want to encourage that. And I think this program really helps to do that.
No, I love that so much. And first, I want to say that your relationship with your daughter and having her be an active part of your business is really inspiring to me, because that is something that would bring me so much joy. I grew up being an active part of my mom's business of sorts, with her being a pastor. I was very much involved in helping with everything. And to have one of my kids participate in that fashion, I think it would be amazing. And it's something that is probably going to happen, because just a few weeks ago, I may have mentioned this in one of the calls, I was asking one of those questions, like for Mother's Day, what is your mom's favorite color? What is her favorite thing to do? And I asked my daughter, what am I really good at? And she said, my 5-year-old said, entrepreneur. And I was like, whoa. How do you even know that word? And she said, you say it all the time. So I don't know, but it may be coming. Thank you so much, Vesta. I am so grateful for you and for your contributions to the group, and it's just so refreshing to talk to somebody that is on the same speed as my brain, because you are just so fast and thinking about all the things and coordinating it in your head. And I'm like, I know this is me. So I love that so much. Okay, Benny, I'm almost done. Give me just a minute.
You sent me a message, a voice message in Messenger, and I listened to it twice because I thought it was me. It's like everything she was saying was what I would say. And I thought, this sounds like I'm talking. Even the voice sounded similar. And then I realized it was from you, because I'm like, I don't remember saying that. So I understand. It's great to find the energy match.
Right. It is. And I was wondering, because I sent you that message, you never responded. I was like, maybe she didn't like my idea. And then she thought it was her own message. So that's why she didn't respond to it. So that is hilarious. That usually happens with my sister. So You're pretty much my sister, Vesta. I love that so much. Let's see. Liz says, having a weekly deadline to keep going will be great. I'm looking forward to going forward with this group. Yes, Liz, so excited that you have joined us. It's going to be an amazing ride. So just stay tuned. Awesome. Amira, tell us more about being a part of the school and working together. Tell us about your experience.
So it's been very exciting. I have been in business for a really long time. It's almost 15 years. And had next to no social media presence, like really. No campaigns, no plans, no nothing. It always just felt really kind of grimy to me because I would hear people talk about like the analytics and the buzzwords. And I would see all of my colleagues in business posting the same question like every day, all the same way, the same. And it just felt like I didn't like it. So Marta and I connected just on a social level, and she was talking about bringing authenticity into your social media. And I was like, oh, perfect. And like immediately it was like, okay, I'm doing this. I'm in, done. I've loved it because so not only am I learning a lot because I'm starting from like zero, but I've really been pushed out of my comfort zone. I am not a vulnerable person. It is not something that resonates with me. It's very uncomfortable for me to share my feelings. And thankfully, with a lot of this stuff I do in my business, that's a no-no. Mm-hmm. So I've been able to like really put this wall up everywhere and tell myself it was okay. I've been really pushed to share more of myself with my clients, and it feels pretty good. Like after I got over the nerves and like feeling a little sick a couple times I posted things, it does feel really good. I mean, even just doing the sort of the webinar thing, which I was not even sure I was going to do. And now it's like turned into me finally launching a project that I've been toying with for 10 years and didn't know how I was going to pull the trigger on it. And then like the last big thing that I really benefit from is like, you're amazing, Marta, and I love you and your training and all of that. But so are the other women in the school. There's been so many good connections. I have multiple accountability buddies that I check in with. Carelyn is one of them. We are like doing our social media plans. We're checking in on Voxer. She's great. She's like, what are you doing? I'm like,
oh, I love that.
Now I'm doing something because you're asking. So it's going to happen. Right. So there's been a lot of people that I've worked with and collaborated with, and even just in the course of our calls, everybody always has such nice, constructive, but super positive feedback. It's just, it really is a great tribe of women. And thank you for letting me join your club.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for being a part of it. It was just one of the easiest sales that wasn't even really a sale at all.
No, yeah.
That you just came through and, you know, we've really related to each other, and it's just a beautiful thing. And it makes me so happy because it's at the same hand, it's a reflection of what I'm putting out and bringing an amazing group of women. I always remind myself to pat myself on the back as well, because if I'm attracting amazing women like you ladies, is because that's what I'm putting out there. So I am so grateful and I'm so happy. Thank you so much, Amira. And about the collaborations too, that makes me so happy as well. Because even though I like to be controlling in some ways, and in my past of wanting to be the end all, like I'm the leader, I'm the one, you know, that does all of the things, I have been learning to step aside and let things happen, which is also a testament of my growth and what I'm facilitating. So it's just incredibly rewarding. And so I'm growing with you ladies, and it just makes me so happy to be a part of it as well myself. So thank you so much. And last but not least, again, Carelyn, and I will preface your commentary with, I am so grateful that you are here right now, because we connected like 3 years ago. Like that's pretty insane that you were one of the first guests on my podcast when I released the podcast. And I'm going to be celebrating 3 years of the podcast next month. And so the fact that we stay connected, that you are here as part of the school, like I'm so grateful on so many levels. So tell us.
So I really because like again, we've been following each other for a long time now, and I've seen how you grow, and it's like your TV segment and how you're showing up everywhere, and it's like, she's a mom of triplets, how is she doing it all? Like, so I'm always curious, and I always follow, and it's just been amazing to see you grow and then change and all the stuff. But one of the main reasons I joined the school was because how you start, like the part where you said like the content, how you made it more easy, and how you were talking about like the repurposing and all that stuff. And it's like, oh, because I don't know you ladies, but content for me was one of like the culprits in terms of the business. Is like, I have all these ideas and like I can come in with it, but then sitting down every single day to try to put content out there, that was just like, ugh, and it didn't really work for me. So it's just like, so that was just sort of like the main thing that attracted me. And of course I do admire you, and it's like, I follow you, and it's just like, it's just really good to have this. And I've stayed, the content is great, but also because of the community. I think so as an entrepreneur and as a mom and just working from home, it gets to be lonely. And I do have friends who are, this is, it's just different. And I really love the part where, like, if I have ideas with, and the group will give me feedback, and accountability buddies, like, and it's just like, I feel like this is a community that we all grow each other, and like, I've been part of other communities, but they're like huge. And I feel just like another number. Here it's just like, I am me. And it's like, these are, I don't know them all, but like, these are my friends, my sisters. And it's like, I can count on them. And that for me, it's just invaluable. And that's the main reason. I mean, of course, everything else is great, but that's one of the main reasons why I have stayed. And I would really like, if you're looking for that, if you're being sort of like lone wolfing it, like this would be a great community for you to be part of.
Oh, I love that so much. And it makes me happy because it's, again, my intention. Whenever people say, this is what I see, this is what I'm receiving, this is what I'm getting out of, I'm like, oh my gosh, I am doing what my vision is. And that makes me so happy. And especially thinking about calling it the Empowered Woman School, is that this is what we're doing. We're empowering each other. We're empowering ourselves. And it goes back to the reason why I started all of this was because I wanted to empower myself, because when I empower somebody else, I'm doing it for me too. So it's just two ways, right? It goes both ways, and it's just amazing. So we rise together, Rebecca says. Yes, Rebecca. Yes, we do. I love it so much. Well, thank you so much, ladies, for sharing this time with me and with the other ladies and with the other ladies that are watching. I am so grateful for you.
Wasn't this conversation just so good? I would love to hear your feedback on this. I will put links in the show notes for you to connect with Vesta, Amira, and Carelyn and learn more about their work, as well as information on the Empowered Women School, so you can go directly and enroll again for the $37 a month before I increase the prices next month. I would love to have you join us. Let me know if you have any questions. Just reach out. Until next time, bye.